What's going on, YouTubenites? Welcome to the weekly Cover Price Top 10 list where we try to figure out how many lords does it count backwards from 10. Today it's 4. And then after that, right after this, we're going to hop onto another stream on the same channel where Darkside Jedi and Nemesis Prime are going to do their torpedo box unboxing. So let's kick it off, boys and girls.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
Oh my God.
Somebody show that weapon. Hold on and get some, boys.
That is why they gonna be.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 3 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
TV.
Now that's a name I've not heard.
TV.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright. In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
Hold on and get some, boys.
Heck, here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is upright.
What's in the box?
Like a spider monkey.
What's good, you truds and troglodytes? What's crag-a-lagging? It is another Tuesday. That means we go over the Cover Price Top 10 hot-selling comics for the week ending, what is it, June
14th.
Holy cow, we are almost in July.
It's hard to believe.
It is rather amazing. And before we get started, let me introduce my fine panelists here. Just coming off his unboxing of Torpedo, you're going to have to watch 3 Men in the Basement to see what he pulled. My man, Otto from the Grotto, say what's up.
You know, I just woke up from this nightmare that I spent $200 on absolute crap. And then Roger reminded me that.
Why are you giving it away? Make the people watch the video.
Oh, it was great stuff, you guys. Watch my video.
There's one that was good.
Try to help this guy out, guys.
And then
Come
watch
on.
the box. And then I did open up a Boxed Heroes right after that. And I'm going to tell you guys.
There you
compare.
go.
So anyway, I'm here. I'm about to cover Price Top 10. Your boy's okay. So let's get it kicking.
And congratulations to the 3 Men in the Basement. They just hit 1,500 subs. So there you go. Congratulations, fellas.
Congratulations.
Nemesis,
Thank
speaking
you.
of 1,500 subs, Nemesis Prime, say what's up.
What's going on, everybody? Really excited to be here. Comics are in full effect, and we got some finally new books. Loving this Cover Price Top 10 list, man.
That's right. Also, the big guest of the show is Darkside Jedi. Say what's up. He's got 4 boxes. He's going to show later. But we're going to take care of some business first. So, yeah, this is a weekly amalgamation of the top-selling 10 comics from last week based off of CovrPrice.com. Go check out our friends at CovrPrice.com. You can get all your comic book collecting needs. Not only can you look up pricing, you can also add there and see what your books are worth. It's really great tool to have. The 4 people we gave away subscriptions to, they absolutely love it. Maybe we'll do it again to 5,000 subs, which we're about 650 away from. So I appreciate you guys. If you're new to the channel, make sure you sub up, like the video, and all that cool jazz. The show is also sponsored by our friends at KRS Comics. Go to KRSComics.com. Use discount code of LOTLB to get 15% off anything in the KRS Comics exclusive store, including those gorgeous Natalie Sanders books. But as we said, man, so this is based off of sales that CoverPrice.com is an aggregator of sales. They mine data from eBay, Comic Connect, Comic Link and my comic shop, a couple other places. So it's basically sales that have already happened. That's stuff that's about to happen, but it's a good way to look back at the week to see what exactly is going on. And some weeks we just look at you guys like, what the fuck were you guys thinking?
Some
but
interesting
this week,
stuff. It is interesting to see the different.
and this week we got some cool stuff. Obviously, Miles Morales is really hot right now, and I have a I have a theory about why Miles is hot, and we'll get to that in a second. But let's kick it off with the books that almost cracked the top 10, but didn't really make it. And we like to call it the runner-up. And for this week's only runner-up is, that's right, we were just speaking about a good old Miles. This is Ultimate Fallout number 4. This is the second print. That's right, a second print. So here's,
what was this last week? I think
I don't even know.
It was in
top 10.
10. Well,
Yeah,
no,
there's
it
so
was
many.
definitely top 10. I'm just curious of how far it dropped.
Well, if you watch the show, well, I think you were on the show. You just forgot. So, all right. But anyway, this is a tease of what's to come, boys and girls. There's going to be a lot. And if you're playing the game, drink. I just said boys and girls. Anyway, this shouldn't be a surprise. It's what everybody's talking about, as they should. His key issues are moving like no other modern book has ever moved before. We'll get more into that later. But for now, the second print sold 16 copies at a 7-day trend of 185%. This is the kicker right here, man. It had a high sale at $365 for a CDC 9.8. This is getting into levels where it's a second print, guys. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, what's more amazing is the actual 9.8s for a first print, and it's not even a variant. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get to that in a second. But Miles is hot right now, and obviously, I mean, this is what I think. It's the combination of people in the know telling other people that, hey, by the way, we're going to drop a trailer that's going to break the internet, and guess who's going to be in the next PS5 game? It's going to be Miles Morales. And then what happened also is Sony announced we're starting production on Into the Spider-Verse 2. So those two combinations of things, but none of this was public when these books started getting hot. So this goes back to our thing about there's a secret cabal of collectors, mainly somebody at Sony tells somebody else at Sony, all the people at Sony, they tell friends, and then somebody says, hey, I should go buy these comics. And this happens more often than you think. So this is us seeing the market move before our eyes, and then news drops after it, right? I mean, I
don't think this is the last we've seen of it either. I'm pretty sure once we hear of a live action Miles Morales, this book will just explode again.
Do you remember when the first PS5 came out and there was characters in there, and they made those characters jump too, like Silver Sable and Silver, what is it? Silver, whatever. Mr. Negative was Mr. Negative was in the game too. So interesting how in the era of comic book collecting we are in right now, anything can make a move.
And from what I've seen, it's not even a full game. It's like an expansion.
No, I thought I read somewhere where it's a totally original game. It has nothing to do with the first Spider-Man game. So this is full on like Miles Morales living it up in the world. So it's also in the quarantine times. I think any piece of news gets magnified a lot. You know what I mean? Plus, in a social climate we are right now too, it's like, hey, he's a character of color, which was actually when he first came out. Do you remember there was like pushback saying, how dare they kill off Peter Parker and replace him with a half black, half Puerto Rican? But people didn't really know comics who were just complaining about it, didn't know it was the ultimate version of him. But it's a cool character, and there's a lot of great stories, and it's amazing how he's one of the few characters from the Ultimate Universe that actually survived, and they brought him back.
Morales has been on that teetering point for years.
Yeah.
And it just needed a little bit of wind to blow him off. And I think here we go.
I'm tired of seeing posts where people like saying, I'm sick of seeing Ultimate Fallout 4. Guess what? You're the one that didn't get it.
The same assholes that posted all their New Mutants 98s are now mad that people are posting this book. I
have 3 copies, and I bought them a long time ago.
One.
It was a first appearance. It was a cool character. And
because
I was like,
dig the character. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So that's the runner-up for this week, boys and girls. Let's get to the top 10. Starting off with number 10. What do we got?
We have the Bitter Roots number 8.
I have this.
The Vision of Purple Rain, the homage variant. This is a great homage cover. This was Image 2020. The film homage variants have been doing very well over the past several months, you guys. The Do the Right Thing homage for issue number 6 is still a 100+ book, despite the second printing sharing the same cover. With that in mind, collectors quickly brought up this Purple Rain homage. However, it was an open order for the cover B, just so you know, which made it more accessible, and it also held the price down. Keep in mind, though, this variant still has a lot of promise, as both the Batgirl and G.I. Joe Snake Eyes homage command top dollar in the aftermarket. This sold 17 copies, had a 7-day trend of 254%, and had a high sale of $14.99 for a raw copy. And who doesn't love Purple Rain? This is sick. I missed out on the Batgirl. I missed out on this one. You know, I
Wait
got
a second.
on this one.
I don't want to brag or anything, but I told you guys in our private chat, go get this book.
I got 2 of them.
I called my LCS and I said, hey, big to do. Can you hook that up for me? Put it aside. I got to change my ringtone, son.
Was that
I'm
Santa
still
Claus?
like Christmas and Collins Queens, but it's still my.
You're gonna get a copyright ding.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just sorry, Run DMC. So anyway, so number 10 on the list is Bitterroot. Number 8, the Purple Rain homage variant. So
that looked like Morris Day, right? That looks like Morris Day.
Morris Day was in Purple Rain too.
Of course,
so, exactly. Day. So, all right, still very cool though. I have this, and I still have the Batwoman. So actually, I'm going to post this book for Top Marion Tuesday as soon as we get off the show. All right, number 9 on the list is
Superman number 14. This is the recalled edition, back with the Year of the Villain stuff. So, hottest book last week was a little book called Legion of Superheroes, but everyone wants to know it featured a new Dr. Fate, Monster Boy, and a first full appearance of the Gold Lantern. So, you know, what's crazy is this book was hitting up to $25, but it was revealed that both Gold Lantern and Monster Boy appeared in this issue back in 2019, as well as the Supergirl number 33 recalled edition. However, there has been a lot of speculation as far as complicated first appearances within these characters. Well, we will dive deeper into that later on, but I will tell you that this book sold 25 copies last week, 7-day uptrend of 196%, with a high sale of $81 and a 9.8 for a possible first appearance of some characters, guys. So get it now while it's under $100.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Why was it recalled? Did you
so
say?
Both Supergirl and Superman, the stories inside at the end weren't supposed to be part of it. Was supposed to be part of the Year of the Villain, but you can see on the bottom right hand corner it says plus the Legion of Superheroes. It wasn't supposed to be revealed at that time about the Legion of Superheroes, so they were pulled prior to release. But of course, some people sold them, and then DC went and reprinted all those issues. So for Superman, cover B is actually a Adam Hughes variant with Crypto and a couple other characters on it. And the Supergirl, I think the variant is actually Derek Chu. They stopped being Art Germ. So both of these books were recalled. And I remember they were selling for, $30 to $40 raw when they first came out. And then they just dropped because nobody really cared. But now with this hot first appearance of these characters, it's going back up again. So you may have to dig in those long boxes. So
that's
could
right.
have it.
Perfect Storm, first appearance, also a recalled comic. People love recalled comics. All right, so number 8 on the list, boys and girls, is Superman. Number 14, the recalled version. All right, moving on to number 8 is another returning customer.
That's it. Ultimate Fallout 4, the second print variant by Pitchell. And you guys know, look, Miles is the hottest character right now. We just talked about it. His first appearance, the subsequent printings, key variants, they're all going nuts. Everybody's buying these up. Every week there's some new high sale. This is the second print variant, is no different. It sold 35 copies, had a 7-day trend of 167%, and a high sale of $500 for a CGC 9.8.
Wow.
Good Lord.
Wow.
I just want to say once, I just kind of bit this bullet and went all in on the Spider-Verse when they announced the second movie right after the first one came out, because I've watched trends on Instagram and YouTube for the past 4 or 5, almost 6 years now. And the spider stuff is huge. And Spider-Man in the universe is relatable to everybody. And this movie, as Tim and I know, we all know, was such a home run that, it's only a matter of time before it just gets even bigger and bigger. And there's one thing that I love about, the Into the Spider-Verse movie more than anything is the soundtrack. So that's just 2 cents. The soundtrack was phenomenal. But look at Spider-Verse. It's the hottest thing going right now in a video game. Something new. Somebody knew what was going on with this. So
I'm telling you. I mean, the people at Sony knew a game was coming out for a while now, and then probably people heard, hey, the trailer's going to drop, and they figure, you know what, after the trailer is going to drop, the book's going to go up. So we need to snatch these up now. And that's why we've kind of been seeing this trend now. And that's why it's good to watch this Cover Price Top 10, because you can see the sales trends. If we see a book on here over and over and over again, there's one-offs, right? There's the Corona, there's Snowflame, all these kind of one-offs that are based off of bad spec. Right. And you know what? You guys as collectors, you guys correct yourselves and you stop buying these once you find out that no, Ultimatum is not going to be happening. And Corona was a bad, spec, and nobody wants to hear about a disease, especially after 2020. Nobody wants to hear about Corona anymore, regardless of who they are. But that's pretty cool, man. I can't find this book, to be honest with you. It's amazing. So, but you know what? Number 8 on the list, Ultimate Fallout. Number 4, the Sarah Pachili variant. Second print. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm surprised. If there was a 5th print, it'd probably been on this list as well. But all right, so number 7 on the list is something a little bit different. It's good to see some different stuff on here.
Yeah, this one's really cool. This is Something Is Killing the Children, number 7, the Emma Rios variant. It was a 1 in 20 variant, which is an odd ratio variant coming out of Boom Studios. If you guys know, this series is actually really good. It's not highly ordered through shops right now, but there are fans that do like it a lot. I actually love this series. I have been collecting all the cover A, cover Bs, even some of the 2nd and 3rd prints. But this one, again, it's hard to find, so it is sending folks to the online market. I will tell you, I just bought one for $50. It did sell 10 copies last week. It did have a 7-day uptrend of 681% and a high sale of $40 for a raw copy. So if you guys check online, there's not many listed. There's under 5 listed on eBay. So, but this is a really badass cover. It has Erica Slaughter, who's the main character right there on the cover, and she's a monster hunter. So I definitely could see this being optioned at some point.
That's what I was going to ask, because I've seen people talking about this book a lot, and was it ever like one of those things where it's been optioned for something, for Netflix or Amazon Prime, or is it just
no, right?
Great stories and cool covers.
It's really cool. It's about a girl going to a small town, and she hunts these monsters that don't want to give too much away, but only kids can see, because as you grow up, you don't believe in monsters, so adults don't see them, only children do. So those are the ones who kind of get attacked by the monsters, and she comes in and she's part of this clan, which you start to learn in this 2nd story arc, that hunt monsters.
There you
pretty
go.
Dope.
So there you go. Something to read to your kids before a bedtime story. That only your children can see monsters, and we're adults, we're safe. So there you go. If you want your kids to sleep in the bed with you for the next 4 months, read them this. They'll be fine. All right. Number 7 on the list is Something Is Killing the Children. Number 7, the Emma Rios variant. Let's move on to number.
Boom. I know this book is gonna haunt you, Tim. This book is gonna haunt you.
This is it. Spider-Man number 1, the Adi Granov hip-hop variant 2016. Of course, another Miles book where, it's just creeping up, the increase. No one could have anticipated. This variant's caught fire up to the first print of Ultimate Fallout 4, which doesn't make a ton of sense. But here we are. It sold 12 copies, had a 7-day trend of 575%, and had a high sale of almost $600, $599 for a raw copy. Oof. And you know what, though? This cover hits on all cylinders, though. If you were a hip-hop collector, if you were the hip-hop variant, if you were a Nas collector, it's the Illmatic cover. So, this book, it blew up right in front of my faces, right in front of our faces, and it's crazy right now. We should have thought about that, because Tim, you as a hip hop fan, and Miles and Illmatic and Nas.
You can't win them all.
Was it Roger or Roger's brother that bought? I had a lot of hip hop variants that I sold on the last Lord's auction.
It was Roger's brother.
Yeah, 30 of them. And I think this was one of them in there. So somebody got a killer deal, because they were cheap to begin with, because I had like 80 of them, and I was like, I have way too many of these. I need to sell some. So I thought I put together, and maybe I didn't give it to him. Man, I'm trying to remember.
Go dig in those long boxes.
You gotta go see if it's still there.
I have to watch that auction.
Yeah, rewatch.
Prior to this, the only really hip hop variant that was worth anything was there was a Deadpool that was a 1 in 50, if I believe right. It was a Deadpool Eminem thing, and that one was a really rare one, because normally they were pretty easy to get. They weren't high print runs of them.
Yeah.
There was one that was like a 1 in 50. I'm trying to remember. I think it was a Deadpool. I know it was a Deadpool. I'm trying to figure out what album it was. There was that, and there was an Eminem one too. There's only a few, but hopefully it's time. What's cool about these is most of them are like, a lot of them are like #1 issues too. So so there was like Devil Dinosaur Girl, that's a #1. There's a ton of them. Silver Surfer was a #1, so it was just great. And of course, Guardian, I mean, basically, I had to stop getting, because I thought it was going to be a finite version. Man, it kept on coming and coming. I was like, man, I got like 80 or 90 of these damn things, and I was like, they're taking up too much space. But then, at first it was cool because there was a lot of like, oh man, that's a Slick Rick album, that's the NWA album. And then they started doing like new hip hop, and I'm like, who the hell is Little Yachty, Little Yacht, all these Zanny, Banny, Stanny guy, whatever, man. I don't get down with the mumble rap, is what I'm telling you, boys and girls. Drink again if you're playing the game. All right, so number 6 on the list is Spider-Man 1, the Adi Granov hip-hop variant homage to Nas is Illmatic. All right, so we're halfway there, boys and girls. So number 5 on the list is... Hey,
well, we're sticking with Miles. So here it is, man. This is the big one. Ultimate Fallout 4. This book is constantly moving, man.
Kidding me.
And it's only going to
raw copy hit $690 in the polybag, not even taken out of the polybag via auction, guys. So seriously, like we said, this book is going nuts. So keep in mind that most raw copies are selling for around $300 to $450, which is still crazy for it is a high printed run book. But it did sell 62 copies last week, had a 7-day uptrend of 147%, and a high sale of $1,400 plus in a 9.8. And this is just cover A, first printed
my God.
2000.
Now, is this FOMO? Do you guys think that this is going like, or this is?
I don't think so. I think this is a staying power character, especially I think especially if there is a live action something.
Right.
Once there's a live action something, this character will be a staying power.
And if it's in the MCU, put the Feige footprint on it. It's gonna Feige fingerprints, like to call him. Once Feige
he'll be in a movie. He's the character of movie status. So we'll see
when Miles meets Peter Parker, and it's only a matter of when.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, that miniseries is going to jump because that's the first time they met. I'm not sitting there because I'm sitting on 20 copies, but you know what? There's a ton of cool variants in that Spider-Man.
The video game is what pushed this.
Oh yeah,
this is what we're seeing right now because of the video game. We're talking about the potential for this to explode beyond this.
Oh yeah, right now it's got the video game bump and the Into the Spider-Verse bump.
So I mean, if that's doing this, just wait. In my opinion, that's just my opinion.
And I'm going to use I'm going to say for next week, I am going to say that I believe that Edge of Spider-Verse 2 is going to be on this list somewhere next week, because that book as well has been pushing a high price. And there is a book out there that people are also buying other than some of these variants. And it is the Miles Morales Spider-Man 12 is When They First Kiss.
Yeah.
And a little tease, I think I have that for auction on our 3-Men in a Basement on Friday.
Yeah, and I think right now, though, the Spider-Gwen stuff just needs a bump. Like, it needs any little piece of news. Like, she's going to be in the game. But I would pretty safe bet she's going to be in Into the Spider-Verse Part 2.
DLC, man. That's what it's all about. That downloadable content post-game, man. I could totally see her being in it.
So just wait till that fucking Night Thrasher video game comes out. It's gonna go crazy, son.
Right.
So number 5 on the list is Ultimate Fallout. Number 4, just the regular old plain first print that came out in 2011 for 9/8, so for $1,420. All right, boys and girls, we're halfway there. On to number 4.
That's right. Legion of Superheroes number 6, the Alex Gardner B variant.
Nice.
And this was the front runner for the Legion of Superheroes number 6. It was the first full appearance of the new Dr. Fate, the Gold Lantern, and Monster Boy. It sold 27 copies and had a 7-day trend of 380%, and at a high sale of $29.95 for a raw copy. As we write this, as we've been talking about this, cover A has taken the lead, fellas. So this is very interesting because this is a dope cover, and I'm a Legion of Superheroes fan. I grew up to that with the Keith Geffen storylines, but this is really cool. And Wildfire, that's a great version of him. So don't know too much about this story itself, but cool cover. I definitely would have picked this up if I saw it, but I missed out on it, like a lot of things.
Very cool, kind of digitally painted cover, kind of very reminiscent of some other styles, but definitely you can tell it's almost like it's a CGI cover. What they're doing now, the kids are doing now. But all right, so number 4 on the list is Legion of Superheroes. Number 6, the Alex Garner variant, some DC stuff, right? That's not Batman or Joker related or Punchline related. Look at that, huh? All right, so I spoke too soon because number 3 on the list is
she's back, people. She's back. Batman number 92, the 1 in 25 variant exclusive Punchline George Jimenez variant, man. This one, behold the first full appearance of Punchline. She emerges past the Year of the Villain number 3. But this issue is highly anticipated, pre-selling as early as March. But with Corona, it kind of slowed down. So this was
Yes, it
pre-selling
did.
at like $65, but since stores had to slow down because of Corona, flash forward, now we're in June 10th, flooded the market at eBay. So that kind of made these prices drop. However, this variant has been holding its ground. It sold 96 copies just in the last few days and at consistent at $50. So with so many copies listed, this book is definitely going to be dipping next week, I would say. But however, we're watching it as always just to see how it goes and how it can buck in the trend. So maybe if Punchline, does something with her new character, it could sell some more. But did sell 96 copies last week, guys. 7-day uptrend of 107% with a high sale of $75 in a raw copy. So,
when she kills Harley, that's when she'll really blow up.
My money's
no.
No way. My money's on Harley.
No. Can't happen.
So this is called what? The designer variant, right?
Yes. So from 92 now until I believe 100, they're all doing DC's going back to actual ratio variants, which is something that they haven't had really since New 52.
Yeah, because they've been typically just cover A, cover B. They didn't want to get into that business of, but you know what? I think fans like it. Fans like going and get a variant that's harder to find. I think it stimulates the back issue market. And I think now that they have a character that could really do that. So number 3 on the list is Batman number 92, the Jorge Jimenez variant. So go out and get that. I missed out on it. I only got the damn art germs because I pre-ordered them like 3 months ago. But so I think that killed that. But, it's still actually the art germ variant looks pretty nice, actually. The cover, it's very, very art germish, if you know what I mean. His characters have a tendency to pose the same direction, the same way in every cover. So, all right, number 3 on the list, Batman number 92, the Jorge Jimenez variant, and we're on to the top 2. I would tell you this: they're not Marvel books.
No,
what
not
is number 2?
Not at all. You guys better read up on this. Deadline. This is Snowblind number 1 by Boom Comics in 2015, and Deadline, who's a reputable source, just reported that there's been multiple bids are in on Snowblind. The adaptation of this graphic novel by Ollie Masters, who did The Kitchen, has Jay Gyllenhaal attached to the star with Gustavo Moller, who directed the 2018 Danish thriller The Guilty, making his English language directorial debut here. The script will be written by Patrick Ness, the author-screenwriter who wrote A Monster Calls and is adapting Lord of the Flies for the director Luca Guadagnino, I can't even say that name, at Warner Brothers. So the news lit a big fire under this book. It sold 13 copies, had a 7-day trend of 866%, and at a high sale of $61 for a raw copy. And go on Deadline, and you can read all about this. So this might be a book I'm going on eBay right after this for, or maybe right now.
Cool cover.
So we'll see. Definitely a cool cover.
But
Yeah,
how's the story?
Yeah. So this is
No one
of those
knows.
new ones. I never even knew that.
I know. I don't even know this existed.
Yeah. So it's going to be a one-off. So just be careful. I mean, but Boom has got 2 books on this week's list, which is pretty incredible for a small publisher, right? I mean, that just shows that they're doing some good stuff over there, hyping the books up. And more importantly, I think a lot of smaller studio, or no, I wouldn't say smaller studios, but some as well. They see these smaller properties. They find a good way of saying, let me snatch this up. But as we always tell you to be careful of anything that's not the big 2 that's been optioned. There are literally hundreds of comic books that have been optioned by Hollywood. And sometimes they do it out of greed. They want to pick up the option for rights for it, so nobody else will get it and do it. So sometimes they'll sit on it, and sometimes they won't. So that's what's interesting. Was there was just a picture, and I'll have to look it up. It's one of those books that have been. Oh, Robert Kirkman teased that they have the first image from the new Invincible series that they're going to show.
Oh
man, I missed out on them. I sold my Invincible books like years ago, but man, that book. Once you see an image of it, it's gonna pop, and that's one of those. It's one of those rare, kind of on a tangent that's not on our list here, but Invincible is one of those rare independent comics that is superhero based and built and it has some world building to it. Like Snowblind is a perfect example. It's kind of isolated, insular. Something is killing the children. Same way you could tell a kind of insular story that's not tied to anything at all. You know what I mean? I mean that's why. Invincible is such an interesting thing because they built an entire world of superheroes and villains, and it went on for 150 issues or something like that. I mean, it was quite a long run. And Robert Kirkman, to that point, was only known for The Walking Dead and not really, even though he wrote a lot of superhero stuff when he was at Marvel, and I think he did some stuff at DC as well. But I remember I picked up a a book from Marvel from like the 90s, and Robert Kirkman was a writer. I said, what? You know, you really never heard of him until he really started doing The Walking Dead. And even that Thief of Thieves that he did, that wasn't superhero based, but that was hot as well. So there you go. I think
they did a TV show of Thief of Thieves, right?
Not yet.
I think so.
No, it's coming out soon.
It wasn't.
They never did, but that book was super hot. And then it's just Robert Kirkman has one of those things where Walking Dead is kind of giving him the ability to open doors, and he could just kind of pitch anything he wants. All right, so number one on the list, boys and girls, is, it should be no surprise.
Wow. Man, Otto talked about cover B. This is cover A, Legion of the Superheroes, number 6. All right, guys, so this is going to be a amazing book to talk about right now. So it was the best book last week in the market. It sold 84 copies, had a 7-day uptrend of 385%, and a high sale of $89.99 for someone's pre-selling it, CGC 9.8. Now, here's the thing. The first appearance of all these characters, like we talked about, Dr. Fate, Gold Lantern, and Monster Boy, are a little bit of a mess. Maybe even some of the messiest appearances ever. But for this rundown, we're going to focus mainly on Gold Lantern, since he seems to be the character that most people are talking about. Now, if you guys do have a CovrPrice subscription, they dropped a newsletter this week that explains all these first appearances. And we're going to go into it right now. So Gold Lantern, he actually appeared in the far background of Superman 14, the recalled edition, which we already spoke about, because those technically did come out before the reprinted regular editions. If you bring a little magnifying glass, you can actually see it. It's super hard to spot, but Monster Boy is also in there right below Superman's chin.
Hey, should I share the screen and then bring up the article?
Yeah, if you want to, or we can just go with your pictures that you got.
I didn't download all the pictures. There was a ton of them, man.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, so we'll just keep going, right? So, right. But also on the same day of release, they also had the Supergirl 33 recalled edition that we also spoke about. Monster Boy is also there, right in the foreground at the bottom. Of course, he's still in both the printed copies of Superman and Supergirl. Next up, he's in a clear cameo on the cover of Legion of Superheroes number 1, the Brian Hitch variant. Brian Michael Bendis even said that he's in issue number 1, similar to Naomi's first appearance, which is Naomi number 1. This issue was released on September 4th, 2019. So we are 7 issues later, but people are still thinking that this is the first appearance. But let's digest. Here, also on the cover of, which we've already showed you, the Legion of Superheroes issue 1, cover A, which he's on the inside in several panels, which is this book here, with his first line of dialogue, and yet Monster Boy is there as well with dialogue. Next up, he's then also in the local comic shop day variant for issue 1. Keep in mind that the first issue was released on November 6th of last year, and that the variant was released on November 23rd. Monster Boy is also here in the background too.
Hold on, let me catch up.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Shared it. So, which one are you looking at?
We are now on to Legion of Superheroes number 3. So that's cover A of Legion of Superheroes number 1. That's where he's on the interior, as you can see.
So let me, I'll start from the top, guys, so you can kind of see the pictures on these. This is off of CovrPrices. So you can see how it's circled here. I don't know if you can see it, but here he's circled again. This is Supergirl number 33. There he is down there. This is Legion of Superheroes, the Hitch variant, Millennium. Yep. There he is right there. Here he is here on the Superman number 15, which was back in 2019. There you go. He's circled right there, guys. You can see these. So here he is again right here. And then here he is again right here. This is the Legion Superheroes cover A, where you see him circled there behind. And then here's also inside, you see him. So, you know, I think once people realize this, they're going to go out and look for these comics. All right, go ahead, Justin. Where are we at?
We're going to have to leave it to the market for this one.
Oh, this is definitely going to be messy at CGC, guys. So he's, of course, in those the local comic book shop day variants. But again, Gold Lantern kind of appears again in the cover of Legion of Superheroes number 3, which Tim has right there, cover B in the bottom. But he's a little obscured because of the titles there. But Monster Boy is clearly seen above Jean, which is also circled. Gold Lantern is also on the inside panel of that issue.
Look at him right there.
Clearly he's right there, which brings us to issue 6, where we get the works full appearance name with dialogue. So there it is. He finally says who he is and has a ton of dialogue. But you know what? At the end of the day, what's going to be his first appearance. So with all that being said, as I just broke it down and I can't wait to have a drink, Gold Lantern and Monster Boy, do they have the staying power like Punchline, or is it just going to be these minor characters? Who knows, right? So that's all I got to say about Legion of Superheroes number 6, which is number 1 on our
Good
CovrPrice
Lord have mercy.
content.
So if you're keeping track at
just buy them all.
home,
Just buy them all.
just buy. All right, I'll give you all the issues so you
There
guys
you
can.
go.
Legion of Superheroes number 6, obviously. Legion of Superheroes Millennium number 1, the Hitch variant. Also, he appears on there. He's in Superman number 15 as well. Legion of Superheroes number 1, cover A. He's on there as well. If you want some more, there was a local comic shop day variant. He was on there as well. Legion of Superheroes number 3, cover B, but he's a little obscured by the title, but he's on the internals. And then obviously this today or last week's comic is basically the first full appearance because he's named, he speaks. Other ones, he's just in the background. So like I said, whatever the market decides, they're going to decide. So this to me, I'm pretty confident saying this is the first full named appearance. If you want to say, no, this is almost in Warlock territory. Right?
Definitely.
Right.
Because, but then again, Warlock had different names and iterations. This is the same guy. He's just standing in the background, so have at it, collectors. Go and get whatever. I'd be curious. Like,
let the dust settle. And
if you bought all these comics and submitted to CDC and then noted, hey, man, tell him he's in the corner of a
First
panel
cover appearance
on page 3. Make sure you note that in my CDC notes because I want that. So, thanks for joining us, boys and goyles. We are going to head over to another video that we're doing right now. Look, there's already people waiting over there. I will leave it in here, guys. We're going to end here, and then we're going to reappear over there, and we are going to do the Torpedo Mystery Box unboxing. Darkside Jedi has 1. Ryan has 4 of them. What's the grand prize again?
Darkside Jedi and Ryan are the same person.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nemesis Prime and Darkside Jedi. What's the grand prize again?
A Detective Comics 168 first appearance of Red Hood.
Oh boy, I got my lucky green shirt on for you guys. Ryan's into it for $400. So
$400. Let's see what happens.
On Lord's main page. So here, I'll leave the link in the video in the description of series, or excuse me, in the live chat. So just click on that. Head over there, boys and girls, and we'll see you in about 4 minutes. As soon as I end it right here, we're gonna go there, but we'll send you off with some style.
Oh, peace.
See you guys in a bit.
Shake and bake and pull it back.
Hold on and get some, boys.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 3 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
Now that's a name I've not heard.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is
Shake and bake and pull it back.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is In this, you shall know that the Lord is
Go on and get some, boys.
Jack, here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
In this, you shall know that the Lord is
What's in the box?